So I have a little section of code here, and to be honest with you, it doesn't even really matter what it does. When you run it, it just says testing, testing, one, two, three. But I'm not really here to talk about the coding for once. I'm here to talk about this other thing. So everything that we've done so far, which may seem a little obvious, has been us just running our mouth at the computer. Use this library, do the short stuff, print this out. Okay, well, sometimes we don't want to communicate with the computer. And that may sound funny, but sometimes we want to communicate with other humans that are reading our code. Maybe you want to include some information up top about who the programmer is. Maybe you want to say when this thing was last updated or whatever. Maybe you want to leave an explanation for a complicated section, or a long section. This section does this. That way, if the programmer is looking at, code that involves other sections, they know they can skip that section. Maybe you want to leave an explanation for a tangled up line that, looks complicated, but just explain real quick, this line does that. And the problem is that, well, English isn't C++, and so C++ doesn't know what this word programmer even is. And so how do we get C++ to ignore our English nonsense? Well, there's a couple of different ways. The first way is pretty useful for skipping multiple lines. You put a forward slash and then a star. Now notice when I did this, the entire program just grayed out. It had some color to it before, and then you put this star in, and well, all of the code just grays out. Well, that's because all of the code is being commented out right now. It's being ignored. And so how do we get just this section to be commented out? Well, you put a star forward slash under the section. And now just this section is commented out, and all the color has returned to the program. And this can be as many lines as you want it to be long. Now, there's all sorts of things that you'll see other programmers do. They'll draw boxes, squiggly lines, all sorts of artwork to, make the commented out section pretty, or to section it off better or make it more noticeable. At the end of the day, that's all just artwork. It's cool. I do it sometimes too, but at the end of the day, at the simplest, what you need is a forward slash and a star to start your comments, and a star and a forward slash to end them. Everything else is just creativity. So down here, let's do another method for commenting out a line. And this one will comment out a whole line. Basically, you just put two forward slashes there. Now notice nothing else got commented out there. This comments out the entirety of this line, but it doesn't comment out any more. So if you had several lines of this, well, you would have to comment out each line individually like this. You can also use this method in the middle of the line, or at the end of the line more appropriately. Now, you can have the first part of this be C++ syntax, and at the end of the line you can use this method to leave an explanation, and this will comment out the rest of the line starting here. But you can't have any more C++ syntax after this unless you want it to be ignored also. You can even do stuff in the middle. Now this isn't real common, but you can do it. So I'm just going to show you. You can do some middle comments like this using the multiple line method, but just doing it all in one line, and C++ will read this line without skipping a beat. And so now the program is back to working because all of the extra little tidbits that we put in are being ignored. Now, pro tip, you can use commenting to troubleshoot. Say you've got some lines that you're not sure if they work or not, but you got, say, 5 lines or so that, it's crashing somewhere in those 5 lines. You know that for a fact. Well, one of the things that you can do is go through and individually comment out each of these lines and then run your program again. Well, if your program works with the first line included, well, your problem's not in your first line. But if you include the second line and your program crashes, that's where your problem's at. Well, that's where your problem starts, at least. That doesn't preclude that there could be problems in lines 3, 4, and 5. But if the second line makes your program crash, your problem at least starts there. Lines 3, 4, and 5 could work. Good luck. but you have to test them out too. If once you get line 2 working, continue the process. Does line 3 work? Yeah, okay, great. Does line 4 work? No, you got a problem in line 4 too. Then fix line 4 and just work through the rest of your program like that, or work through the rest of this section like that. So we're going to talk about commenting a little bit more down the road, but I wanted our programs to get a little bit more complex before I share any more thoughts on it. All right, see ya.